everybody, and welcome back to BI Navigation. In this video we're going to carry on talking about the report table and the functionality that's generated out of this table. We talked about the account mapping process in the previous videos, and we'll probably talk some more about that as we move on and get some amounts to put in the ledgers. But for now, let's carry on looking at some of the columns in this table and see what they do for us. So the orange backgrounded columns here, they determine the report pages that you're going to have to show in your final report. So for example, if you recall the demo video, we had some summaries, and in those summaries we had profit before tax and a turnover analysis and a wages analysis. If I just take the profit before tax, we can see that all filters down in Excel to the lines we want to see, and that's absolutely fine. We can then have a look at a wages analysis. This sorts the wages into the right analysis. Just get the wages from all sources and bring them together so that the management team can see total wages, costs, and so on. Basically, any report that we have here has a report name and a category of some kind. We then put an order in play for those groups, for an order in play here for group 1 and an order in play for group 2, so that they appear in the right order in the final report. The blue headed columns are a comma separated list of, in column H, the business units, and in column I, the departments. If we go back to our company structure, we can see that each business unit has a number. It might be that we don't need numbers to be generated for any one or all of these lines. For example, in this one here, businesses 40, 50 and 60 don't have a service department, so there is no reason to generate those lines. And that becomes important later, because Power BI by default will want to report everything on a slicer, and these two columns here, when we generate the numbers out of the trial balance or out of the nominal ledger data, will ensure that Power BI only takes numbers that are relevant to the departments and business units that we tell it to. The green columns are the heart of the formulae in Power BI. We have one formula that works out any number that we might want to look at on here. And having got that number, it'll flow through the relationship process that we explained in an earlier video and generate us the right result. Where we see a blank here, so all these blanks, those numbers there will be mapped from the ledgers in the way we've looked at previously. And if we haven't got a blank, so we'll take KPI div as an example. This is a division calculation. We need to tell Power BI which column is the numerator, in this instance gross profit, row number 5 or rep key number 5, and which number is the denominator, which in this case is turnover. Power BI will then, with the formula in the PBIX file, it will then perform any division you like just by changing the line numbers in here. You can see here again we've got a second one, calculating the return on sale, which is profit before tax divided by turnover, 12 divided by 3. There are lots of types of calculation types in the system. A cross-reference, we'll just pick up the information out of row 147. Row 147, if we scroll down to that, is the detailed retail profit page, and it will pick those numbers up as a cross-reference and put them into there. That means we won't get too much data into the model. That means we only need to map a few things once, where we've got one total, and we can do some cross-referencing in here to help the thing forward. Carrying on looking at some more of the calculations, which we'll go through a little bit later. We also have things like the balance sheet profit before tax. This is the entry that will go to revenue reserves, the closing equity, the opening equity. Any accountants out there would know that they can be tricky calculations. And some information for the cash flow. this cash flow really is generating the working capital numbers if you look at the table in more detail. We can have as many calculations as we want. It might be that there are 3, 4, 5 different numbers that we need to pick up to make a calculation. For example, if we're working out a buying margin, we need the list price of the sales, we need the cost of sales, we need to derive a margin from that, and we need to divide that by the retail sales. And that can mean that depending on what information we've got in the model when we get the information to there, that we need some more information to make the calculation happen. We'll talk some more about this one when we get into the PBIX file, but this really is the heart of the calculation process. The percent column P here determines whether the division is going to be a percentage or a whole number. If we're calculating a per unit number, for example, we wouldn't want a percent there, but if we want it to be a percent, we just put a 1 in this box and everything works out fairly fine. Running along, the next salmon coloured ones are, is the number here a key driver or not, or is it a non-key driver? This enables us to shrink down the results to just see the salient numbers when we get the information into Power BI. Do we want the number to be a positive or a negative number? And do we want signage to be positive or negative? These two columns help overcome the accounting signage issues and help overcome variance signage to ensure the colouring on the variances is correct. Sometimes we may want to look at thousands or round thousands, and sometimes we may want to look at the actual calculation, either the pens and pence or the KPI that's being calculated. If we have a 1 in here, then when we switch the round thousands on, it will calculate as round thousands. If it's not switched on, then it just ignores the round thousands and doesn't perform the division. And we can see that here, for example, with a gross profit percentage. We wouldn't want a gross profit percentage to be calculated and divided by 1,000. That would be nonsense. So we leave that blank in this instance, and everything will work through. I'm going to finish this video here and talk in some more depth in the next video about the columns on the right, because they're to do with the presentation of the numbers. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Look forward to the next one. Thanks very much.